of PowerShell across your organization. So I have 30 minutes, so it's going to be kind of a wild ride. I want to talk about a few aspects around PowerShell in general, the challenges, and how ScriptRunner can help you to actually unlock the power of PowerShell to really use it across your whole organization. You can also get the slides already. They are on my GitHub repo. You can just go here and use the QR code if you like. And let me just start with just quickly introduce who we are. So ScriptRunner, we're a company from Germany. We are into PowerShell management. Here you see part of my of our team. That's me. So you can reach me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, of course, on GitHub and stuff like that. And and we are very much into community. And for example, we are supporting all kinds of PowerShell communities, but also obviously the Power community, Experts Live, and stuff like that. And one part of supporting people who are maybe starting PowerShell or maybe want to learn more or want to have some information that help them in the day-to-day business, we provide a free PowerShell poster, which we send out throughout the whole globe. So if you want to have a cheat sheet for your day-to-day PowerShell usage, go to our website, register, and we will send that through and to your address, and you can hang it to your office wall. So it's a pretty big poster, and as I said, it's really, really helpful, no matter if you're on a beginner stage, if you're intermediate, or if you're an expert, because, well, we all need some help, right? All right, so with this, let's look at the potential of PowerShell. So in general, of course, PowerShell is a great technology to do all kinds of things in your infrastructure, no matter if it's on a command line, if you're scripting. The great thing about having that technology really is to not just, as you know, not just use it for all the Windows platforms and stuff like that. Now with PowerShell 7, it's cross-platform. So we're talking Linux, we're talking Mac OS as well. And we have not just Microsoft being committed to PowerShell, but many, many other vendors. And we have a strong community around the world, which is really great. So if we're looking at the ecosystem in PowerShell, there is, of course, Microsoft providing PowerShell for all their solutions. We have other major vendors supporting PowerShell, and we have the community who adds up things that might not come from the vendors. And we see things for platforms like CyberArk, for example, or other use cases, or for Slack or whatever, or DBA tools for SQL and stuff like that. So there's really a strong and ever-growing ecosystem around PowerShell, which is really great. And of course, you can use it around the Power Platform, of course, and we're going to take a look at a little bit about that as well to see what can you do with PowerShell. But I want to talk about PowerShell and automation in general. And if you look at the challenges, so one thing is, okay, there are really great things that you can do with PowerShell, but there are obviously also a number of challenges. And depending, again, on where you are in your PowerShell journey, no matter if you're at the beginner stage, if you already have some kind of experience, or you're really kind of a PowerShell ninja already, maybe, there are things that you might start asking, okay, I have these PowerShell scripts, and I know how to code, and I have the PowerShell modules. I want to bring it to a level where really the whole organization can benefit from the things that I'm writing with PowerShell. If it's for the Power Platform, if it's for Azure or whatever. And so the things that we see here in many situations is sometimes, not really sometimes, but quite often really the situation is like, maybe like in this picture, it's like, okay, there is some kind of chaos around PowerShell. You have scripts everywhere, all over the place, and then you start asking, okay, where are the latest versions? Where are the modules? How can I use it? How can I give this to somebody else to work with it? We also see a PowerShell know-how bottleneck quite a lot, no matter how much and how big the organization is. If it's a small one, a medium one, or even the enterprise ones, there are a handful of people who are really deep into PowerShell. But outside of that, let's say, expert circle, it's really like, okay, it's difficult to tell somebody in help desk, okay, how to run a PowerShell script to maybe spin up a new VM or to start an onboarding process or whatever kind of use case. And so what also we see here is that because with PowerShell, you need to have the credentials to do things in your backend system to create new teams, new VMs or whatever. So it's really one of the challenges really is how to handle these credentials in a secure way. And because of all these aspects, we really see that PowerShell is only really being used in these expert circles, like the high priests of magic automation with PowerShell, so to speak. And so from our perspective, really, the potential that this great technology PowerShell really brings with all the capability really remains untapped. And so that's where our solution comes into the picture, where we think about, okay, what can you do in order to really unlock the power of PowerShell across your organization? And so compared to the picture that we just saw, there is scripts everywhere and kind of unorganized. From our perspective, it's really about starting to standardize everything around PowerShell, to centralize all the different aspects when it comes to using PowerShell, having an easy accessibility to people who are not into PowerShell, who are in service desk or end users, who you don't want to train them, you don't want to teach them how to work on and to use the PowerShell console and stuff like that. And of course, it's also about monitoring, to have the information about what script ran at what time, how long did it take, was there an issue with running scripts with particular backend systems, for example. And it's also about integration, so not just seeing this PowerShell stuff as a standalone solution, but really enable other systems to trigger PowerShell scripts in a very well-managed way, in a secure way. And that's actually what we are looking at with our solution. And so what we are doing is we are centralizing all the scripts and all the modules. So you have them all in a central place. And if you say, okay, I don't even have started maybe using PowerShell, we are here to help you as well, because we have what we call action packs on GitHub. You have, I think at the moment we have 1,500 scripts there for many different platforms, for on-premises solutions, for Office 365, for Azure, for Exchange Online and stuff like that. So you can go there, you can take these scripts, they help you to start, they give you some inspiration about what you can do with PowerShell actually. So this is something that I really can recommend, to go there and take a look at these action packs, because they are really helpful. So we have the scripts, we have the modules, so everything is centralized. You don't have to worry about, is the module for the Power App module or the VMware module installed at one desktop so I can delegate an execution of a script. We also centralize the credential management, which also includes that we support password servers. So the credentials to run a script against an Office 365 tenant or an Azure subscription, it can be stored in a CyberArk system or in a Psychotic system or Pleasant. And what ScriptRunner does is actually we are requesting this information in real time when a script wants to connect a PowerShell session and establish a PowerShell session to a backend system. No information is stored in the scripts. No information is stored somewhere around our ScriptRunner management solution. It's really something that only is being used during runtime. And one very important aspect of the solution also is that the only instance that actually runs PowerShell is the ScriptRunner instance. So only ScriptRunner needs to have access to the backend system where you want to use PowerShell for. Only ScriptRunner needs to have this access to the credentials, as we just mentioned. On the other side, if we think about a user over here that you want to enable to start a use case in Office 365, in Teams, in Azure, in SharePoint, SQL, or whatever, these users are only talking to ScriptRunner. So number one, they don't need to have any access to your backend system. And number two, they don't need to have any permissions in this backend system, because that's all managed by ScriptRunner. And then because we're talking about people who are maybe not even heard about PowerShell, it has to be easy. And so what we're doing is we are creating automatically a input form based on the PowerShell script. So with no extra coding, we take the information from the scripts, transform them into a user interface, just like you see here. There's an example for spinning up, creating a new team, for example. And what's interesting, of course, also if you maybe know this new team command, that there are dozens of parameters, but we only see 3 of them. And that's because in the background, all the parameters are already predefined in the way that the company wants it to be configured, like Giphy is allowing yes or no, private channels, public channels, or whatever. So we only really display the information that needs the attention of the user. Everything else is still there when ScriptRunner processes the script. It's all being used, but it's not something that the user has to see and the user has to select or to modify. And so that's why it becomes a really, really easy way of working with PowerShell. And that's then where they start really looking into delegation, depending on what kind of users. They might see 5 use cases, 10 use cases, or whatever. And of course, it can grow over time, depending on what kind of people you have in helpdesk or in your line of business departments and teams. And as I said, it's also about having the integration with other systems, because the execution of the scripts can be 3 ways. One is manual. Somebody helped us, maybe works with it. The second one, of course, would be scheduled. And the third one is that there could be a flow that triggers the execution. There could be a SharePoint workflow. There could be whatever kind of system that connects via the REST API with our solution to trigger these scripts. And so with this, really, we can say this is really something that enables you to use PowerShell not just in this, as I mentioned, expert circle. It's really something that helps you. And I just, as I mentioned, this password server stuff. Of course, security around PowerShell is a big issue and a big topic. And we can also help you here. We have a free ebook. I think it's 130 pages, something. It covers all the built-in security functionality of PowerShell. So if you're interested in that, you can just also go to our website and you get access to this PDF, which really helps you to make sure you are providing a secure PowerShell environment, which of course is one of the key things. All right, so with this, I'm going to switch very quickly to my demo environment. And just to let you know, because I'm really switching here pretty quickly, I will have another session in the PowerShell Saturday I think it's 20th of February. So I'm going to have an hour where we can take a look in much more detail into the stuff that I'm just touching on the surface today. All right, so with this, let me just show you how what I just mentioned really looks like in real life. So I said we are centralizing all the scripts. So here we have the scripts. We detect if a script detects functions. So this is something that you can use later on for delegation. We have a centralized credential management for all the different backend systems that you might need. And we have the targets, which are like the Office 65 tenants, your Azure subscriptions, your Exchange server, your SharePoint farm, or whatever. And with this, we can create this use cases. And a use case could be something like, maybe managing Flow or Power Apps, or maybe managing Teams or Exchange Online or something like this. And we call this actions. So these actions represent the use case. And coming back to the picture that I just showed you in the slide, which was around Teams, is like, okay, I can run this here. And what happens here is really in the background, in real time, we look at the script and we create this input form here. We can take a look at a example here for Flow, for example, which is exactly the same thing. And what happens here is, for example, I already get the list of the existing flows to decide, okay, what do I want to configure here? And so this is the admin view. Now I could say, okay, I created a use case, and in the background, it is a PowerShell script. But now I want to delegate that. And now this could be something like, okay, here I'm logged in as a user, Tina, just a normal domain user based on the delegation within ScriptRunner. This person is able to fulfill some kind or all the tasks that have been delegated to this person. And if we take a look at the use case that we just saw, it's the same thing. We have these 3 parameters that we can select. Here we have the member. So of course, if in the script we have mandatory parameters, we have to fill out this information. If we have date time parameter, we automatically display a date time picker, which is an example that you could see here. So we're automatically translating everything from the script into something that's really easy to use. The user doesn't have to know anything about PowerShell. And to make it even easier, because here we are still in the ScriptRunner application, you could say, okay, I want to integrate that into my existing self-service portal, and I want to enable somebody from this portal to maybe spin up a new team or maybe spin up a new VM in Azure or something like this. And so even this person doesn't even have to know that there's a ScriptRunner doing something in the background. It is integrated into the UI of this portal, and it is as easy as possible, so to speak, to really get PowerShell into a situation where, if you look at this example, of course, where is PowerShell? It's really deep down managed with ScriptRunner. There's no need for the users to know anything about it. And so all the use cases that you maybe already have implemented in PowerShell, or maybe now all the things that you think about could be implemented and delegated and automated with PowerShell, can be put into this solution. And of course, we also want to know then at the end, okay, what are we gaining from it, right? So of course, if I'm looking at the portal, I can, for example, use the efficiency dashboard that tells me, okay, I have a number of actions and a number of use cases, and anytime this is being done via the automation part, I'm saving, let's say, 20 minutes for this particular task, and then we're calculating what time you're saving. What's the money you're saving by automating that stuff? And you could, of course, change the currency and of course the wages. And then based on that, we're calculating that, which is of course a great thing for, as we all know, the management. So they can see, okay, so why are we using PowerShell? Why are we automating things with ScriptRunner in this case? And of course, talking about the integration with Power Apps and Flow. So one thing is, of course, managing and using the existing PowerShell modules for Power Apps, where you have this one for administrator and for the makers, as they call it. But of course, you could also think about, okay, maybe I want to trigger the execution of this PowerShell scripts through Flow. And that's something that, of course, you can do. And in the previous session, we heard about these custom connectors, and we can create a custom connector that really talks to ScriptRunner. And based on that, for example, you could have a flow. Again, here, this is an example for creating a new team, for example. Let me just put that in here. Okay, very sensible information here. Okay, my demo users are pretty musical typically, so sorry for that. Let me just do it. All right. Okay, so based on this integration with ScriptRunner in the background, we should be, let me just switch back here. We should see, if we are lucky, that in the background, there should be some activity going on, because that's another thing that really happens, of course, with the centralization of PowerShell scripts, is because ScriptRunner is the only instance that runs the script, we have the information about, okay, there was this user, Heiko, who actually started to this process, and now we can see in real time what's actually happening. We also see that the parameters that are, as I mentioned, are in the background already predefined, and they are being used when we execute the script. You can all see that here, and you can have all the information. You can have drill downs about the activities, no matter if it's been triggered manually, if it's been triggered scheduled, or via the REST API. All this information is really summed up here in this dashboard. And with this, I will go back to my presentation. Just a second. And hopefully we will have some time for questions if we have them. All right. Okay. So that was really a quick jump into what we're doing. So if you think about ScriptRunner and PowerShell, it's really about taking this great technology with all the different possibilities, and with the ScriptRunner on top, you can really make it something that the administrator can use. You can have the people in DevOps, developers, the help desk people, and end users. And that's really when we say, okay, this is how to unlock the potential of PowerShell across your whole organization, because the admins become happy because they can start delegating stuff where they at the moment are not able to, maybe based on PowerShell, but know-how bottleneck because of security concerns and stuff like that. Then you have the help desk people who are really able to do more and provide more services without asking the IT guys, and so they can provide a better service, so their customers become happy. And then of course you have the end users with the self-services that can do things themselves. The developers of the PowerShell script become even more the heroes, I would say, because the thing that they do is not just something that's being consumed by the IT guys. It's really something where the whole organization can benefit from. And looking at that from a DevOps perspective, of course, there is an integration and synchronization with GitHub, for example, or with Azure DevOps, where the scripts that are ending up after developing, testing, and coming into the production branch can be automatically synchronized with ScriptRunner, so to make them available for these people. And of course, we see the management side being happy because, of course, you become more productive in your organization. So many things that you can do with PowerShell, and now it's really open up to the whole organization. If you like what you saw, you could, of course, start testing the solution. There is a 30-day trial version. We can always, of course, arrange a individual session. And of course, as I said, I'll be back on the PowerShell Saturday Bootcamp. So there we're going to have 1 hour time to really go more into the details, how that whole stuff works, how it can help you to take PowerShell on a level where the automation with PowerShell is, again, not just something for the IT experts. You can really use it in a much broader range, and I think that's something that really helps all of you. All right. So with this, I would be able to take some questions. I'm just looking at the chat if there are some questions. Okay, there was some question. Okay, he's an ACDC fan. That's true. Okay, that's quite obvious. You can. I mean, you can download that. It's a solution that, by the way, of course, you could obviously, because it's something. It's a Windows based. You could just put it into in an Azure VM and run it there, for example. Okay, what's your favorite PowerShell commandlet and why? Well, at the moment, because I'm using that very, very often, is really everything around Teams, because it really simplifies a lot of things, and having this the possibilities to really standardize the whole process. The second one I'm using pretty much is really managing VMware with the Power CLI. That's something that also works. Yeah, stop computer. Yeah. Sometimes maybe now, maybe for the weekend. Yeah. All right. Are there any other questions? So of course, feel free again to contact me, to go to our website. And as I said earlier on, if you interested in to learn more about PowerShell, and you can have this. I don't know if you can see it, maybe not because of the background. There is this poster that really is quite helpful. You can see it anyway. It has the commandlets for Active Directory. Talks about, I'm just looking at my office wall, PowerShell classes, the WMI and stuff like that. And so it's really great. Okay, so I don't see any questions.